الرحمن الرحيم.
How can a simple structure made of mud, stone, and palm trunks transform from a mere shelter into the eternal spiritual heart of a global nation? The answer is not found in the grand building or impressive design, but in sincere intentions and the hard work of those who laid the first stones with their own hands. In our previous episode, we saw the Prophet ﷺ arrive in Medina, where years of persecution gave way to the warm and joyful welcome of the Ansar. We witnessed how the camel Qaswa came to rest by Allah's decree on a simple plot of land, and how the Prophet was welcomed with unmatched generosity into the home of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari radiyallahu anhu. Now, the focus shifts from finding a place to live to creating a home for the soul and a center for a growing community. This episode tells the story of building the Quba Mosque, a sacred place that would become a cornerstone for the lives of all believers. We will explore how hard work, deep faith, and strong unity transformed a simple dusty courtyard into a place that Allah Himself says was built on righteousness from the very beginning. While the Prophet ﷺ would eventually settle in the heart of Medina, his first stop on the outskirts of the city became the perfect place to lay a lasting symbol of faith. Quba was a village of cool breezes and fruitful orchards, but it had no dedicated place for the believers to come together and worship Allah as one community. During those first few days of safety, the Prophet recognized that a community without a center is like a body without a heart. He saw a plot of land belonging to the tribe of Amr ibn Auf and imagined a building that would offer more than just shade from the desert sun. It was to be a sanctuary where heaven and earth would meet, a place where the broken hearts of the emigrants could find comfort and healing in shared prayer. The village was filled with a quiet excitement as word spread that a mosque was going to be built. Every man, woman, and child felt the importance of the moment, knowing they were part of something that would last long after their own lives. There was no architect with detailed plans or grand designs, only a shared vision of a place devoted entirely to the remembrance of Allah. The ground was cleared of debris, and the boundaries were marked with a simplicity that reflected the humble spirit of the faith itself. The construction began not by order of a distant leader, but with the Prophet ﷺ himself carrying the first heavy stones to the site. The companions watched in admiration as the Messenger of Allah worked beside them, his chest covered in the fine dust of the earth and his brow glistening from the sun's heat. Whenever a companion stepped forward to take a heavy stone from his hands, the Prophet would gently refuse, urging them to lift their own stones and earn their own reward. He was showing them that in the house of Allah there is no hierarchy of labor, and that every stone carried is a step toward spiritual growth. This sight sparked a wave of energy among the believers, who began working with such dedication that the difficult task seemed almost effortless. They chanted rhythmic verses together to keep their movements in harmony, their voices blending with the sounds of work all around them. Abu Bakr and Umar ibn al-Khattab, radiyallahu anhum, were seen carrying immense loads, their faces glowing with the joy of serving alongside their leader. A deep sense of equality filled the air as the richest Meccan merchants worked side by side with the humblest Medinan farmers. This was the first true lesson in the character of the Ummah, where leadership meant being the first to serve and the last to rest. The mosque was built with stones and mud, but it was held together by mutual respect and shared sacrifice. As the walls of the Quba Mosque rose, they became a testament to the truth that real beauty comes from sincerity, not decoration. The materials came from the land around them, using the very soil they walked on and the trees that had given them fruit. The foundation was laid with solid rock to endure the elements, while the walls were made of mud bricks that kept the inside cool even under the midday sun. The roof was made of palm leaves and stalks, letting the air flow freely while giving shelter from the harsh sun. There were no golden domes or fancy decorations, yet the space had a quiet strength and serenity that no palace could match. The Prophet ﷺ made sure the prayer direction was clearly set, guiding the believers' hearts toward a single focus. Every brick they laid was paired with the remembrance of Allah, so that building the mosque became an act of worship. It was a building born out of need but lifted by divine blessing, a place where the ordinary felt touched by the light of guidance. The finished building was humble in appearance, but its spiritual foundations reached deeper than any other structure in the history of the city. The special place of the Quba Mosque was affirmed by a revelation from Allah, praising the sincere character of those who prayed there. Allah describes this mosque in the Quran as founded on righteousness, emphasizing that its congregation was made up of those who truly love to purify themselves. Curious about this divine praise, the Prophet ﷺ asked the people of Quba which of their practices had brought them such an honorable mention. They explained that they took great care in using water for their personal hygiene, maintaining a level of cleanliness that was uncommon in the desert at that time. Our Prophet affirmed that their attention to cleanliness showed they were also caring for the purity of their hearts. This taught an important lesson for the early Muslims that the outer environment of a believer should be an extension of their internal faith. By keeping this standard, the people of Quba turned their simple mud brick building into a sanctuary full of peace and clarity. They showed that a building's true holiness comes not from its design, but from the sincerity and purity of those who worship inside. The example set at Quba became the spiritual standard for every mosque built in the centuries that followed. Through this revelation, the mosque became an eternal symbol of the harmony between a pure body and a pure soul. Moving from a site of work to a center of life, the mosque soon became the heart of the village of Quba. It was never meant to be a silent monument for worship alone, but a lively center where the Prophet ﷺ sat in the shade, welcoming desert travelers and guiding his people. Within these humble walls, the laws of a new society were first taught. The poor found someone to support them, and travelers found a welcoming family. The mosque served as a school and a sanctuary all at once, showing that faith was meant to be part of every aspect of daily life. Even after the Prophet moved into the heart of Medina, he never forgot this first foundation, making it his lifelong custom to return to Quba every Saturday to pray. He taught his followers that a simple prayer in this mosque, after purifying themselves at home, holds the great reward of a complete pilgrimage. This tradition kept the community tied to their simple beginnings, showing that every great society starts with one sincere step. The stones of Quba witnessed how a group of hunted refugees became a strong and united community. Today, even though the mosque has been expanded, it remains an eternal symbol of a heart at peace in the service of Allah, a lighthouse for the exhausted and a fortress for the faithful. The building of the Quba Mosque was the first visible sign that Islam had come to stay, laying a foundation to support the growth of a thriving community. It taught us that when we build for the sake of Allah, the simplest materials can create a sanctuary that lasts for eternity. The unity, service, and spiritual growth seen in those early days at Quba became the model for every mosque that would later be built around the world. We see that a community's strength comes from its center, and a believer's center is always found in prostration before Allah. In our next episode, we will see how this spirit of unity was taken to an even deeper level as the Prophet ﷺ established the formal bond of brotherhood. We will witness the extraordinary stories of the Muhajirun and Ansar as they shared their lives and wealth in a way a world had never seen before. Join us as we explore how the foundations of faith became the foundations of a family that went beyond blood and tribe. May Allah bless our hearts with the sincerity found in the stones of Quba and grant us the strength to build our lives upon righteousness.